Hi everyone, so episode 1 just finished up, and Bobby and I began to notice the same thing. And that is that Jar Jar Binks.
It's the badass!
He's a military genius, honestly.
He's a dumbass and a badass.
You cannot argue with his results, is what we're getting at here.
You can't. He killed more people in this movie than anyone else.
Right? He's pretty good. I mean, he's a bumbling fool, but you cannot argue with good results. But overall, I mean, I don't hate this movie like a lot of people do, but I definitely see what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
Jar Jar is probably like the just worst idea for a character, because I get you need a character there for comic relief, but they also need to add to the story, and they just cut to him and he does something stupid and you're supposed to go, but it's never funny. It's just
Like, for the longest time, the excuse I used was, well, Ewoks. It's the same thing as Ewoks, but Ewoks, they at least, they didn't speak English, so they get away with it a lot more. And
yeah.
for the most part, they're kicking ass too. So.
Right. I mean.
But.
I don't know. It just always. It seems like George Lucas always needs to insert one annoying thing into the movies, and this is definitely the worst example. But let's get to what we liked about the movie then.
Oh, actually, the guys with the weird oh, see, you're a Jedi. We are not racist, Japanese man. We are just.
That's what he got criticized for. He said that the Gungans were supposed to be black people. The flying guy on Tatooine, I forget his name, is supposed to be a Jew, and then the the Trade Federations are Asians. And I'm like, yeah, I can definitely see where that's coming from, because he talks like this, and he wears the really oriental-looking clothing, so it's pretty ridiculous. That being said, Star Wars was originally based off of a samurai film, so
Yeah.
I don't know, it's pretty ridiculous. But what did you like about the movie, though? What does work for you?
I'd say Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah, Qui-Gon's
So.
awesome. Liam Neeson.
Mm-hmm. And then when he explained how the Force works with the midichlorians,
Yeah.
that doesn't bother me as much as everyone else.
I really don't like it. It's just such a lazy explanation for, like, it's George Lucas trying to create a sci-fi explanation. And it's not very scientific, and it's just stupid. I just think it's a really weak explanation, and that's what bugs me about it.
Well, that's sometimes how life works.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's just not as. I never really thought about how does the Force work, so it's not that big of a deal how it works. It's still pretty cool to me.
Yeah,
Just
I don't
not
know.
what it is.
I just don't love some of the stuff that goes on in the movie. But I do like Yoda in this. I mean, I like the kind of lines he has. I mean, I still really think the first thing that ever really got me into Star Wars was this movie, because I was like 11 when it came out, right?
First movie I ever saw in theaters for Star Wars.
Yeah, and
was
I
this
mean,
one.
like, don't get me wrong, it's not a good movie, and my nostalgia for it does not affect my judgment of it at all. But I remember seeing the trailer and seeing Yoda give that speech about fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate leads to suffering. I love that. It's so cool. I don't care if the logic's wrong. It's awesome. No, I really do like that stuff. It's really cool. But that you begin to notice when you know where this is going. You begin to notice a lot of the foreshadowing. Like, I like when they're talking about who the Sith is and who's the master, who's the apprentice at the end at Qui-Gon's funeral. I like that it pans over and you see Palpatine.
Mm-hmm.
Who, like, you don't even think about it the first time you watch this movie if you haven't seen the others, about this guy who just finagled himself into the most powerful position in the galaxy. You know, that's pretty impressive work right there.
Yeah.
No, I really do enjoy that.
Speaking of Palpatine, with the Senate scenes,
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that E.T. was in it.
Thank you for pointing that out. I never noticed that before, but yeah, when they're all like booing or cheering or whatever, you can see E.T. just down in the corner of one of the booths. Oh, that's awesome. Anything else?
Some of the CGI works for some scenes. It's weird, but then there's some scenes where it doesn't really, like, especially when you start seeing other Gundams.
Yeah,
there's no texture.
Other Gungans look really bad.
Mm-hmm.
The Gungans are just such a pointless thing. Like, well, no, they have relevance to the story. That's actually the problem with Star Wars Episode 1 on the whole. It's a really bad movie, but it's got incredibly great structure. Everything depends on everything else happening in order for the plot to move forward, And that makes a significant problem because a lot of what's going on, or like at least a third, if not half of what's going on is really bad. You know, it's
Well, the problem is like you got so many characters. Like there are really a lot of characters, and that's the thing this movie is really missing compared to the older series.
Mm-hmm.
I believe compared to the other ones too,
Yeah.
2 and 3. They
well,
don't
like
have.
let me just real quick, just because there's like a third to half of the movie's bad, but it's all dependent on itself. It's all really internally well structured, so you can't cut out the bad stuff. Otherwise, your plot doesn't make sense. That's actually the problem with the movie is it's so well structured. But go on.
Yeah, and I think you don't really have besides Qui-Gon. You get Qui-Gon for the most part, and then you get Padme and Anakin and Jar Jar.
Jar Jar. Oh god.
And Jar Jar's it's again
Like
Ian was saying,
Obi-Wan's barely in the movie.
At all,
I think he
he's-
gets slightly more lines than Darth Maul.
Yeah,
Oh,
Garth Maul.
Garth Maul.
Party on!
We're gonna have to make that a skip. That's too ridiculous. not
Yes.
to. All right.
But also I liked how they had Zod in it. That was cool.
Yeah, General Zod. All right.
Yeah.
That's the end of our thoughts on it, I guess. What the hell is this? Okay, this is weird.
After the video's over, and
There's a scene after the credits, everyone. Hold on. This is the Blu-ray collection.
it's just like one of those like after credits production things. Or
I've never seen something like this. Okay, we'll just let that go. Anyway, so what are you doing?
trying to use the Force to smoke. Dude, it's gonna work. You gotta pay for that. Those aren't cheap.